Hello everyone, and welcome to another News Coolum video and another one of these short little road trips, I guess, if you will. So I did a earlier video just talking about what it's like to own an electric vehicle without charging at home, and I'm still at home, still not charging. Now, that last video I left off, I had about 55% battery. Again, the Bolt EV parasitic losses are almost nil, so it can just sit here in my driveway and it's not going to use any power. But I am going to have to make my regular 500-mile trip tomorrow, and I figured I'd kill two birds with one stone. I have a lot of packing to do tonight, so I don't really want to have to cook. So I'm going to go grab some food. And this is sort of another example of what it is I do when I don't have work charging available. I'm not going into the office. And again, my driving needs tend to be much higher than other people's. So if you don't drive a lot like I do, don't do a lot of regular 500-mile trips or whatever, just a single stop at the grocery store charging up like I showed in the last video is probably going to be sufficient for you. But when I'm out and about, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll plan around eating a meal out once or twice a week, and I'll just stop by a DC fast charger that's nearby. Now, we're under shelter-in-place orders, so there's not going to be any sitting down and eating a meal in the restaurant, but I will be able to pick up some food, take it to go, and then I'll just be able to eat and pack and not have to worry about it. Like I said, I'm leaving tomorrow morning, 500-mile trip. No matter what I do, I'm not going to be able to get away with less than 4 stops tomorrow. But if I can charge up even 20-30% tonight before I leave, it'll just make that trip a little bit easier. And who knows, maybe I just want to eat in the car and charge up, so it's almost like a picnic. We'll see. But let's go grab some food. All right, well, mission accomplished. We grabbed some food. Now, I actually haven't sat down to eat it. I did decide to wash my windows a little bit. The car had been sitting in the garage for a while, so everything was pretty filthy, but I think that was sort of time well spent. I was going to have to do it at some point. I could do it when I'm on the road tomorrow, but I might as well get it out of the way now. I actually didn't want to have to drive with the windows looking like that even for the first 100 or so miles. So, we've been here just over 20-25 minutes at this point. We already hit both of the step downs. We went from the 45 kilowatts that these chargers are capable of outputting, dropped down to the 35 kilowatts or so when it hits 100 amp, and now we're up to that 70% point where we're down to only charging at about 20-23 kilowatts. But we've still only been here a fraction of the time that I spent when I was on the level 2 charger. So it just goes to show you just how much faster, and these again aren't even the fastest chargers. Now, I wouldn't have actually probably even needed to stop here had I been using a DC fast charger that last stopover when I went grocery shopping. But because it was level 2, things are what they are, and I guess it sort of works out. It gives me also a chance to show a sort of alternative. Like I said, Americans do tend to go to a grocery store about 1.5 to 2 times a week on average. But if you're a high mileage driver like me, that's not always an option, right? You have to sometimes supplement because there are only so many times you need to go to the grocery store, and who knows, maybe one of the grocery stores you go to doesn't even have a DC fast charger added, or whatever the case may be. And this is one of those other strategies that I use because I'm on the road a lot and I'm coming back I don't want to say it's an excuse, but it's a good way of both replenishing the car and replenishing you. Again, sort of the goal is, if you don't have charging at home and you own an EV, you don't want to spend time charging. You have to make sure that you're doing other things, because that's really where the convenience comes into it. You can plug in, go do what you need to do, come back, and you're not out anything, and you still have the convenience and you still have the ease. Maybe not quite the cost, but most of the conveniences that come with owning an EV, even if you can't charge at home. So I'm going to go ahead and get packed up. Like I said, we're past that other cutoff point. We could charge to 85% before it steps down again. I don't know if that's entirely necessary. I could just sit here and eat my food, but I think I want to get ready to pack up and head out. Well, and there you have it. We're here. We're back home again. So the whole process took, about an hour, but part of that is because, when I normally do this type of thing, I'm out and about, I'm on the road, I'm returning home anyway, so all of that travel time is sort of sunk cost. In this case, it was about 15 minutes of driving each way and about 30 minutes of charging. So, I ended up using about an hour overall. But that's the other thing too, is, when I went to the grocery store, that's just a few blocks away. In this case, it's a little bit farther. You want to make sure that where you're going to charge, you're not using too much of the capacity that you're getting back. Otherwise, it is kind of a waste of time. But like I said, I also really typically only do this when I'm already out and about. Obviously, circumstances right now with everything that are going on, it's a little bit different. Of course, if the restaurant was open and I was able to sit down and eat, well, then it would have made even more sense to be there charging. But yeah, you just want to sort of be aware of it. But, as someone who, is an EV owner without charging at home, a fairly high mileage driver, I rely very heavily on the public charging infrastructure. And this is just one of those strategies that I use when I'm out and about. I try to make sure that, maybe if I need to grab a meal or whatever, I'll stop by and charge up because obviously, I don't have charging at home. And so now we're up to 75% battery, and we get to leave tomorrow with 75% battery. Range estimator says about 153 miles of range, which is probably fairly close. This might end up saving me at least one stop on my trip up tomorrow, but we'll sort of cross that bridge when we get to it. But otherwise, I hope this was helpful. I hope this was informative. If you're someone who's maybe considering an electric vehicle and you don't have charging at home, this is one of those strategies that you can employ and one of the things that you can consider. So, if you don't have work charging, don't have home charging, this is one of the things that you can do. Like I said, clearly I rely pretty heavily on the public charging infrastructure, yeah, this is just one of the sort of strategies that I use. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it was informative. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and thank you for watching.